Hi, my name's Sarah Rickards and I'm the owner of Well Embroidered. I wanted to do a quick video for you guys today demonstrating how to apply a Pearl Purl outline to a felt padded shape in goldwork. So this is Pearl Purl. It's quite a sturdy coil and it's got little grooves in between, and when we stretch it out ever so slightly our thread should sit in between these little grooves. So I'm going to pinch either end and just stretch it ever so slightly like that, and that opens up the little holes for our thread to sit in between. Like that. Okay. If you open it up too much you'll end up with the thread visible, and if it's not open enough you won't be able to get your thread in there. What we want to do is run the thread lightly through some beeswax as well, and that just helps to strengthen the thread, take any excess off, and protect it from the gold. So I'll start my thread off at the top of the padding. You never want to start your Pearl Purl halfway down a line, you always want to start it off at the end or a point. So you never want to start it off about there, because then you've got to do a really nice neat join, and it's easier to join up at a point or a corner. Cut this knot off. And then you can see where I've pinched the Pearl Purl, I've just damaged that end, so I need to cut that off. Like that. Make sure when you're cutting you're following the angle of the grooves of the Pearl Purl. Then we're going to place that at the point like that. Now this first bit's always a little bit fiddly, and notice how I've gone just beyond the end of the felt with my Pearl Purl. So I want to come up on the outside, down on the inside over the Pearl Purl, pull the thread down, and it's going to slip into that first groove like that. Now I need 2 stitches over that first groove to help stop it from moving around, to help keep it in place like that. Then we can come up, and we want our stitches spaced every 3 to 4 grooves. You'll notice as well that I'm just trying to angle my needle underneath the Pearl Purl, and that helps to hide the stitch. So I'm taking it out underneath rather than straight up and down. So when I take it down, I'm angling it towards the Pearl Purl, and that just helps to hide the stitches. We shouldn't see any of your couching stitches over the top. Notice how I'm using one hand to keep the gold in place while the other hand does the stitching. That helps me get a nice smooth line with my Pearl Purl. If you get the wrong angle of the stitch and your thread won't sit in between the little groove, don't whatever you do force it and try and pull it really hard, because you'll end up damaging the Pearl Purl. If that does happen, what you need to do is unpick that stitch and just reposition it so that it slips into the little groove. Because once you've damaged this Pearl Purl, you can't fix it. You'd have to unpick it and pop a new bit in. Like I've just done there. Can you see that's not slipping down into the groove? So it's just the wrong angle of stitch. I'll just undo that, rethread the needle, and then take it back over at the correct angle. I'm going to show you how to turn a point. So when you get to a corner, you want to take a pair of pointed flat-ended tweezers and a mellor, and you want to just pinch where you want the turn to happen with the tweezers, and then with the mellor just push it against the tweezers to make that turn. You can just use the tweezers to get a little bit of a sharper point. If you haven't got a mellor, you can use your fingernail like that, although I prefer using my mellor, I get a better result. Once you're happy you've got a nice neat turn, you want to put a stitch in that point, and then you can carry on stitching up the next side. So again, from outside to inside, angling your needle towards the Pearl Purl to help hide the stitches. You can also use your mellor to just smooth out any kinks in the Pearl Purl, neaten up any edges with the flat end like that. We use the other end for when we do our chipping and our cut work. But the flat end you can use just to smooth off any edges. If you haven't got a mellor, you can get these on my website. I'll pop a little link down below in the description box. They're such a handy tool to have. They're also really great when you're doing things like canvas stitches and you've got multiple threads in the needle and you want them to lay smoothly. You can use one of these to help them lay smoothly. So they're a great little thing to have. show you how to finish off the end. Now it's important you've got nice sharp scissors when you're cutting gold, because you want nice clean cuts. So we've finished just before the end with our stitching, but leave your thread, don't finish that off. We want to cut our Pearl Purl first, and we want it to sit so it finishes just in that little bit there, flush up against this one, so we get a nice point. So it's really important we cut in the right little groove. And when you're doing your cut, make it short, sharp and decisive. If you delay on your cut, it usually ends up damaging the end of the Pearl Purl, and you have to trim it down. So you can see there it's going to sit nicely in that little space we saved for it. Again, like we did at the start, we want 2 stitches over the end. Over the last little groove like that. Because you can see with one it just moves out of position, so we need to put that second one in to hold it. There, like that. Then we can finish off our thread. By doing 3 little stitches in our felt padding. Bring the needle up to the front and cutting it off.